A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Learners International School and the Learners community, I warmly welcome all of you to our webinar, Learning Beyond Borders. In today's world, when there's so much of information, options, opinion, it is but natural for us parents and guardians to often feel confused about what is the right decision for our children in terms of their education. And as a school, we often get exposed to such questions and parents seeking counseling on the same. And we felt that it is our responsibility and it is extremely important for us to take this knowledge beyond just our parents and to a larger community so that all parents can make an informed decision about their child's education. And to do the same, which is why today's webinar will be focusing upon three major aspects, such as international board, and we'll be decoding all the programs. It will also be focusing upon its relevance in India and the key role it plays in understanding about how it will truly help our children be ready in this VUCA world and also become happy, confident, and learned individuals. To do the same and guide us in this journey, it is my absolute honor to introduce to you our esteemed panel today. First up is Ms. Nitima Arora. Ms. Nitima Arora is a passionate and dedicated educator with a remarkable track record of over 18 years of experience in the field of education. An expert in IB and PYP, she has taught across various schools such as Pathway School Noida and Sun City School Gurgaon. Today, she would be talking to us about IB PYP in detail and also do a comparative analysis between different national and international boards. Our second speaker today is Ms. Manisha Trivedi. Head of middle school, Ms. Manisha Trivedi is a committed and dedicated educator, bringing with her over 20 years of experience, having worked with finest institutions such as Step by Step School Noida, and she has taught across multiple boards such as IB, CBSE, Cambridge, ICSE, which has enabled her to gather a vast understanding of the different pedagogical practices around the world. Today, she will be helping us understand about the transition between different international boards and how Cambridge plays a key role in middle years for a child's education. Last but not the least, I would like to introduce Ms. Geeta Verma. Head of School for Learners International, Ms. Geeta Verma is a passionate and visionary educator, bringing with her an enriching experience of over 30 years. An expert in IB and Cambridge curriculum, she has worked in various reputed educational institutions such as Heritage School, Pathway School, GD Goenka School, Gurgaon, Pragyanam, and so on and so forth. Today, she will be helping us decode and understand about what happens as to life after 12th and how being an IB graduate will enable our child to be able to perform in today's world and also make them ready for higher education. Before we begin our seminar, I would request and invite all the parents to keep dropping in their question into the chat box which is available above in the panel. By the end of this seminar, we have dedicated a 15 to 20 minute of time frame where we'll be picking a few of the most important questions and frequently asked questions and we'll be addressing the same. I truly and sincerely hope that this becomes an enriching experience for all of you attending here. And on that note, I would like to humbly invite Ms. Geeta to take this seminar forward and enlighten us with our journey.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hashmita. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this webinar where we discuss the various international curricula. At the heart of it is, of course, a very, very important and an esoteric question, which I often ask all parents. What do you want your child to be? And it's never, the answer is never, that I want my child to have, loads of money or a big car or a big house. It's always, I want my child to be happy. I want my child to be confident. I want my child to be balanced. And that's exactly what the international curricula does. And we will unpack that for you through Ms. Nitima and Ms. Manisha. As Ms. Hashmita mentioned, it's a VUCA world. The world as COVID, the Ukraine war, and even the 2008 subprime crisis has shown is volatile, uncertain, complex, and rather ambiguous. So what do we want our child to learn? Just gather information and knowledge, or to be ready to be a lifelong learner with 21st century skills, which will make him not survive but thrive in an unpredictable and volatile world. And that is where the choice of the international curricula comes in. Whether it is the International Baccalaureate or it is the Cambridge examination, both of these do look at nurturing these particularly important 21st life long century skills. And that's what we really want our children to nurture and grow and develop and step into the world. To start the journey from a very young age and right up till 12 and then on to life as adults, this is where the skills, as WHO has defined, are really going to help them. And to decode that further and unpack it further for you as to what is the IB-PYP and the Cambridge IGCSE and the IB Diploma Program, first I hand over to Ms. Nitima to take you through the IB Primary Years Program. Over to you, Ms. Nitima.
Thank you, Ms. Geeta. Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to all. And I shall now take you through as to what IB-PYP stands for and what are all that it has to offer. What you see on your screen right here is the IB-PYP model, the model which IB prescribes. And what you see, there are multifaceted tiers to it and layers for an IB program to run. For you to know is the prime objective of IB-PYP is to make each learner an international-minded, lifelong learner. And for that, one academic year is broken down into 6 broad transdisciplinary themes. So what you see in the outer circle is sharing the planet, who we are, where we are in place and time, how we express ourselves, how the world works, and how we organize ourselves. Now, all these themes actually are the ways in which a learner would learn and also get an opportunity to experience various subject specifics like social studies, mathematics, arts, and science in an integrated manner. So the idea here is that every learning becomes actionable. The key focus of IB-PYP learning is that not only do they gather enough knowledge, but also acquire the necessary life skills. So IB-PYP works primarily on the skills, the 5 major skills, which are communication, self-management, thinking skills, research skills, and social skills. As you all know, in today's world, even when people apply for jobs, they are not looked only for their qualifications, but also the skill set that they have developed and honed over the years. So IB-PYP truly believes that skill enhancement is the key success to any generation now. Also, the key and very, very core to IB-PYP are the IB learner profiles. So what you see on your screen are 10 learner profiles, which we tender, care, and develop during the child's journey in IB-PYP years. So all of these learner profiles are the soft skills that we develop inside them, like being open-minded, an inquirer, caring and reflecting, taking risk, being the communicators and thinkers. So all of this is extremely core to the IB-PYP program in order to make them lifelong learners and international minded. Besides that, a very, very important and a regular question that comes up is, how is it different? How is it different from the other curriculum? What's that the IB-PYP has to offer, which the other curriculums aren't? So what the 2 things that we really talked about was skill development and learner profile. Besides that, I will just take you through few things which are core differences between the IB-PYP and other curriculums. The very core is that in other curriculums, you will have subjects in isolation or in tandems, like somebody will be taking up social studies, the other facilitator is taking sciences, there's yet another person who comes to take mathematics. Whereas in IBPYP, the concept is of a homeroom facilitator. And also, all these subjects are transdisciplinary, which means, let's say a learner is learning about migration. Now, not only will they learn about the social sciences of migration, they will also look into the data related to migration and a lot of mathematics integrated. They will also analyze how the arts and dances have impacted due to migration in certain places. So you see, all the subjects are the intertwined. We are not teaching them in isolation, and which is why IBPYP is a transdisciplinary framework of teaching and learning. The next very pertinent is books versus concepts. So in any other curriculum, yes, there are prescribed books, right? There will be a textbook, there will be a workbook, and there are chapters which a learner really has to go through and then get assessed upon. Whereas IBPYP professors the need for the learning and understanding of concepts. So instead of a chapter on, let's say, landforms or photosynthesis, the entire concept of change and the entire concept of growth is taken up, which is universal. And when a learner learns through a concept, it can be applicable to anything. So for instance, if a learner vis-a-vis taking up a chapter on photosynthesis understands the concept of growth, and that growth is and the changes that happen at various stages of growth, then the same concept is applicable in, let's say, growth of a plant, growth of an animal, growth of a human being, and how the various stages and changes occur. So the whole totality of a concept is taught, which is why there are no prescribed books, but resources which learners take through. So instead of one particular chapter or a book, they learn through research from the net, taking question answers from the adults and resource persons, looking at primary and secondary resources from articles and every other where, which is why they don't rely on one particular textbook. Because in today's world, knowledge is everywhere. It's where we need to navigate and absorb from various sources. Because it is a very student-centric approach that IBPYP follows. So it is not about whereas the other curriculums are often teacher-centric. So you would see in a typical classroom where the other curriculums are running, it's very teacher focused. So what is it that the teacher has decided upon to deliver? How is it to be delivered is also decided so much upon teachers or the facilitators. It's very controlled by the adult in the class. Whereas in an IBPYP curriculum, because they're still in their formative years, it is very important that the entire learning process is learner-centric, where the learners take the core and they decide how and what they would want to learn. Of course, there are facilitators to guide them through, yet the learners take the ownership of learning, where they decide what could be the possible resources, where would they want to pick up the information from, how they would want to articulate, and how they would want to apply the gained knowledge and skills to the real life. And yes, assessment. Assessment is something which is, as a parent, I have been fretting all my, motherhood life. And I understand that today's parent also would want to know what is all assessment about, So what I would really want to bring forth is, in majorly other curriculums, what you see is there is a portion or a segment which is taught and delivered, and thereafter there is an assessment of learning. So you finish a portion and you are assessed upon whatever you have learned. Once your assessment is done, you are given either grades or marks, and that moves on to the next segment of learning. However, in IBPYP, it is not assessment of learning. It is assessment for learning, which means it's an ongoing process. So regularly, even without the learner really being knowing that he's assessed upon, the assessments are taking place. The assessments are not only on the content or the knowledge part of it, but learners are also assessed upon, have they got the concept clarity? Have they acquired the required skill? Have they displayed the absolute attributes of learner profiles? Besides that, the assessments are, so let's say there is a particular concept that they've done. They are assessed upon it ongoing methods, and the assessments are done in a variety of manner. It's not only the paper pen or a questionnaire. They could be assessed upon a quiz or through a debate or even through a project. After the assessment, there are anecdotal comments and grading which is done for the records, and thereafter the entire plan for the next classroom or the next project is designed keeping in mind at what category a learner was or still is, so that they fine tune and ensure that the learner who requires help is absolutely helped in order to bridge the gap that he has shown in through the assessments. So it is designed keeping in mind all the essential elements of the IBPYP and made a very robust process where the assessment is not only of learning, but for learning and for the betterment of each individual learner in IBPYP. These are the pertinent points that, often come on surface when people want to understand what is the difference between IBPYP and other curriculums. I think with this, I shall now ask Ms. Manisha to please take over and show some light on the Cambridge program.
Thank you, Ms. Nitima. Good morning, everyone, and very warm welcome once again. In next few minutes, let me take you through the introduction of Cambridge board that we offer in our school after IBPYP. So when we look at the abbreviation CAIE, it stands for Cambridge Assessment International Education. So this organization actually is part of Cambridge University, and it is 160 years old. And this board is being offered in more than 10,000 schools across the world in 160 countries. And all these countries are divided into 9 regions, and India falls into South Asian region for that. So when you look at the Cambridge curriculum, it actually offers the complete pathway itself. So Cambridge gives you from early year to the advanced level. And we have chosen very carefully 2 programs out of it, which is Cambridge Lower Secondary and Cambridge Upper Secondary. So when we say Cambridge Lower Secondary, we are talking about the grade 6, 7, and 8. And Cambridge Upper Secondary, which is also popularly known as IGCSE 9th and 10th. And this is the year which has an international standardized test at the end of year 10th. So what is special about these 2 programs also that they are also skill-based and they are learner-centric in nature. So when you look at Cambridge Lower Secondary, learners are offered 10 subjects, including English as a first language, science and math. And I feel that after coming from a transdisciplinary understanding of these subjects, till grade 5 in IB/PYP. It's a very smooth transition to grade 6, 7, and 8, where the focus turns to the subjects. The same goes for IGCSE 9th and 10th. Globally, they offer 70 subjects, and out of which the learner can choose a minimum of 5 and maximum of 7 subjects and appear for the standardized test at the end of grade 10. So this IGCSE exam is equivalent to the class 10th board examination in India. So both these curriculum, they have a very well-defined subject skills and the attributes that the learner has to acquire by the end of it. And it is also supported by a very nice standardized assessments with that. So if we look at the advantages of this board, Cambridge board, in a nutshell, I would look at these points. So first is the academic rigor and progression. Cambridge is known for its academic rigor, and it fosters a very strong academic skill in the learners, where the children are also specializing in subjects, and this helps them to explore their interest, their aptitude, that what is it that they would like to pursue in the coming year. And this entire thing is very beautifully supported by a range of standardized assessment that the Cambridge offers. So you can do a diagnostic assessment at the beginning of any year, and you can design your learning and teaching practices according to the result of that standardized assessment. And also it helps you to track the progress of learner. So all these stakeholders, whether it is parents, whether it is learner or the facilitator, they have a very nice way of tracking the progress of the learner's learning in the class. If I look at the preparation for the future education level, I think it's very important in these years that the learner should acquire the subject specific skill and knowledge. And above all, the most important thing I think is the study habit, which helps you to move to the next grades and decide on that what would you like to pursue further. And as far as the last point of global recognition is concerned, I think we have already covered. It has a history of say 160 years of their standing, and it is especially beneficial for those families who have to move due to the work or any other reason to the different countries. So what happens when you move to other countries, the learners' educational background is very well regarded in all these countries where they are offering the Cambridge curriculum. So overall, if you look at both the programs, these programs are trying to cater to the skills through these subject skills. So even if you are doing a subject like math, science, or any other language, but you are working on their critical thinking, you are working on their problem solving, the application of the knowledge to a novel situation, or maybe metacognition, which is reflection. And metacognition is something where actually the learning happens. And these skills are being imparted through the tools of different pedagogical practices, which are based in research, which are based in collaboration, which are based in researching about the topics which are of global context. And it is well supported with the help of these standardized assessment, which is also assessment for learning, as Ms. Nitima was addressing in IB/PYP. So together, these skills and tools are helping them to move to the kind of learner they want, the kind of attributes that they want in a learner. So they want the learner to be engaged, they want learners to be confident, to be innovative, or reflective for that matter, and a true global citizen. So you see, even when you look at IB/PYP, what they have to offer, or if you look at what Cambridge lower secondary and upper secondary has to offer, it is almost similar. Like they are working for a learner profile, they are working as a learner attribute. So this is something similar. Now the point is that what happens after grade 10? So after grade 10, the learner moves back to the IB curriculum. And in this case, we are offering International Baccalaureate Diploma Program, popularly known as IBDP. So look at the transition from Cambridge to IBDP. So the subject that the learner is choosing is from different subject groups. So if you look at both the groups here on the screen, you can make out that whatever the learner is offering in Cambridge is almost the similar subject groups in IBDP as well. So what happens when you sit for a standardized exam, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, and you know that what exactly would you like to pursue for the 11th and 12th. And IBDP has a beauty that you can offer the subject at two different levels. So if you would wish to do a higher level of a subject or wish to do the standard level of the subject, you can do both. So you can see that overall, this entire process of moving from Cambridge IGCSE to IBDP is also a very smooth and beautiful transition, which we can see. And if you look at certain research, you will realize that the skill which is much required in today's world, which is a critical thinking, is much higher in the learners of IB curriculum as compared to any non-IB learner group. Same goes for the international mindedness or the global mindedness which is required. So the learner which is coming from the IBDP background has more wide vision of the world and the wicked problems that the world is facing right now as compared to the non-IB background students or any national board which is being offered in any country, including India. So if you look at now the entire pathway of that we offer in Learners International, you can make out that it is quite well thought through, that we offer the early year and IB PYP in the primary years, and then we move to the Cambridge in the middle years, and then move to IBDP in the 11th and 12th. So I thank you so much, and I hope I was able to explain the rationale behind it, why we have chosen this pathway at Learners International. And I would like now to hand it over to Ms. Geeta to discuss what's beyond grade 12. So over to Ms. Geeta.
Thank you so much, Ms. Manisha. Parents, the entire focus is on 21st century skills, which is how we began our webinar. And studies show and research shows that when we do the IB program, and here I may specifically talk about grade 11 and 12, we are looking at 21st century skills and the degree that the IB diploma program nurtures by its very rigor and its length and breadth. So whether it is creativity, whether it's critical thinking, communication, these are the skills we want our children to have, and IBDP gives you that platform. What is happening now is with the new education policy, that even our government is moving to that and saying, let's not put our children into arts and commerce and science, let them have a length and breadth. So why do IBDP? Well, it's been doing that since 1968. And IB has a presence in India since 1970s, and it's in 1983 that it got recognition in India. So at present, we have 210 IB schools, out of which 156 offer the IB diploma program, and they're completely recognized by all the universities in India, and they are accepted as a diploma and a degree if you want to even sit for the competitive exams. What we do here in India, and IB has enabled that, is that it issues you a transcript with the Indian equivalent grade, so that when you're applying to an Indian university, you can see the match. And when you look at the slide and look at this research which is done, the 45% of students who are doing the diploma program do ask for transcripts to apply in Indian schools and universities. And if we move on to the next slide, you will see the recognition and the number of IB diploma graduates who today make the Indian universities their destinations. So you can see 43% are in the Association of Indian Universities, which is almost covers the length and breadth of Indian universities. Then we have the University of Mumbai. And if you go on, with so many options available now, whether it is FLAME, whether it is Narsi Munji, whether it is Ashoka University, whether it is Shiv Nadar University, and of course, something which is very important to parents in the Delhi region is DU. So Delhi University does recognize IB diploma program. They were chary in 2002, 2003 because it was a new program in the northern region. And 99% of the diploma graduates always went to universities in Europe or in USA or Singapore. But over the years, people have realized what an IB diploma program student brings in terms of those 21st century skills that I talked earlier about. And they have now started accepting and in fact preferring the diploma program students. I do know that LSR, Miranda House, they look forward to diploma program students because the diploma program at level is almost like a pre-university program. So the acceptance level is very high, and even IGCSE is accepted. So even if you're transitioning and you want to go to a CBSE, maybe you want to do engineering, so you do your IGCSE till 10th, and that's completely fine and acceptable. In fact, your child will have extraordinary 21st century skills that we're talking about after grade 12. Another very important question which comes up, and it will certainly pop up in the chat box, but I want to address it right now, is will my child be able to take the IIT and the NEET exam? Absolutely. NEET is of course now happening over the year. There are many opportunities. Your child can. IIT, of course, the rigor for the sciences is more or less the same. Math is a little different because IIT caters to the grade 11 and 12 math syllabi. However, even the CBSE learners take on the study skills and they go in for these exam taking skills separate from the CBSE curriculum. The same goes for an IB diploma program graduate. They would have to take these exam taking skills to crack the IIT, but most certainly an IB diploma program learner can take on the IIT and the NEET. It just requires that much of the intensity of study, which any case a CBSE student does. So the IB diploma program is completely acceptable in India. It is preferred, like I told you. And now almost, I would say more than 50% of the students stay on in India. And with that, I end my whole conversation about is IBDP acceptable in India? Yes, certainly. And we'll now open ourselves to questions. But before that, I would like to hand over to Ms. Harshmita to close the session. Thank you so much, parents. So Ms. Harshmita will be starting that process of the Q&A. I can see a lot of Q&A which has popped in. So yeah, over to Ms. Nitima to start the Q&A session.
Ms. Nitima, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Sorry. Yes, thank you, Ms. Geeta. I understand, as young parents, we have so many queries and we want to do the best for our young ones. And, we really want to ensure that we are absolutely investing in the right kind of education. I do see some very, very pertinent question. And the first one is the syllabus of IB and CBSE same? So, I want to tell you at this point in time that yes, CBSE or some other curriculums have a set syllabus, a set curriculum that they need to cover up. However, IB has a broad vision. So they talk about concepts and they talk about, acquiring certain skills, as I previously mentioned. Yet, IB does give some kind of a guidelines as to what should be the skill set which every learner must acquire at different phases and stages of life. So for instance, if there is the skill of multiplication or language acquisition, then there are phrases given which the learners must acquire. IB also professes that whatever framework we frame for our each individual school should be well mapped with the national curriculum. So when at Learners International, we chalk out the entire learning objectives for each grade level, we ensure that at each grade level, whatever the national curriculum is prescribing is definitely met, and the learner is given an opportunity to go beyond that. So the set standards is definitely met and the learner has the liberty to go beyond. So at no point at any grade level does a learner miss onto something or say has not been covered for him, which the other curriculum or the other national curriculums are covering up for that age level or grade level. That's first question. Moving on to the next question, as it says, okay. In the absence of books, how do parents know about what is being taught? Absolutely relevant. Yes, there are no books. As I've said, that we want them to have any kind of resources to, refer to. But the parents, before every unit, so a unit is when we take up one transdisciplinary theme, which runs for almost 5 to 6 weeks. Before initiating this transdisciplinary theme or this unit, we provide you with something which is called a unit overview letter. Now, a unit overview letter will give you an insight into every subject-specific strands that we will be covering for the next 5 to 6 weeks. So as a parent, I would know exactly what my learner, what my child is going to learn in, let's say, mathematics, in sciences, in social sciences, in other subjects like arts and music as well. So that is one way. Besides that, every week we also have a system of a news flash. So every Monday, a parent receives a news flash, ensuring and informing them that whatever has been covered and how has it been covered in a class. So for instance, if a learner, in order to know about civilization, has visited the National Museum, then the news flash gives you picture and insight that that's how that part of the curriculum was taken care of. Besides that, we also give a monthly newsletter which informs you as to what the entire curriculum that has been covered or any other events that have happened and the learner has been part of it. Not only that, there is a system of, fortnightly warm calls by the facilitators. So there is a constant touch, with the parent community, informing them not only of the syllabus covered, per se, but also if there is any requirement that an individual learner needs. And wherever we would need the parent partnership, parent to partner with us and help bridge the gaps between the learning. So the parent community at Learners is very well informed of what is being taught and what is being assessed and what is being covered. The next question is, what is the assessment criteria and how do we decide if the child is progressing to next grade? Yes, assessment is a very touchy subject for parents, and I understand that so rightly. So, there are set strands for every subject specific, which we decide before a term. So for instance, in a music, we decide that, let's say, a grade 3 learner must know or will be exposed to, let's say, some alankars or some kind of musical instruments. We also, collaboratively decide, and let's say we understand that a learner must have certain skill set, certain communication and presentation skills. In language, probably, there is a decision about a certain kind of passages, informative writing or descriptive writing, or certain vocabulary building skills that we would want our learners to acquire. Now, all of this are assessed through an ongoing process through various mediums. So the criteria are set and the success criteria are set with the learners. So even the learners are well aware or what am I going to be graded upon, or what am I going to be regularly assessed upon. And thereafter, as I said, after assessment, it's not only that we assess and we say, all right, you are at a A or a B or a C and happy go lucky. No, we realize that if, let's say, learner X requires to work upon their informative writing skills, then they are given remedial classes. They could also be given yet another exposure and relooping of certain concepts so that they bridge the gap and understand how they can improve better upon a particular skill set. So I hope I was able to give you clarity on that. The last question that I'm going to right now pick up is, what if child goes from PYP to CBSE in grade 6th? Will he cope up? Okay, yes. So, as Ms. Geeta mentioned, that it's a VUCA world, yeah? And it's not about, does my child know about landforms? Does my child know about, only multiplication? IBPYP strongly feels that there has to be certain skill set that a learner acquires. So for instance, through our reading program, we are making learners lifelong readers. They must enjoy reading. They must get into a habit of reading every day through various mediums, like through hard books and through online subscriptions that we've taken. So when a learner becomes a voracious reader in IBPYP program, it's just a matter of reading more content easily and comprehending it even better at grade 6 level. And as I said, because we map the national curriculum and also the international modes and mediums of education, so we ensure that by the end of IBPYP, a learner is not missing on to any learning opportunity, is well equipped with all the skill set to take up any kind of curriculum or content by the time he's in pre-teens at grade 6. So that's the prime objective of IBPYP program, ensuring that by the time they go to that formal and interdisciplinary or disciplinary stage at grade 6, they are well equipped to comprehend and apply their knowledge to through various subject matters and in real life. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. With that, I would now hand over to Ms. Manisha to take up the next set of questions.
Thank you, Ms. Nitima. So I see there are a lot of questions, and we have been seeing this question for a long time, so I'm happy answering them. So the first question says that what is the level of difficulty in Cambridge in comparison to CBSE? So first thing that I want to say about Cambridge is that it's a very old board, and it is very well mapped with the national education policy right now. And in fact, I would say this is the one board which was working proactively with the Indian government and when the education policy came. So we really don't need to worry about the level of difficulty, because when you look at the content, so whatever concepts that you need to do in science or in maths and so on and so forth, of course, they are of the same level which is being offered in CBSE. The difference lies in how the content is being delivered in the class and how the content is assessed at the end of it. So it is not a rote learning which happens. So it is not something that you have done 10 sums of maths and something similar is being asked in the examination and so on and so forth. So when the teaching and learning is happening in the class, the learners are getting a lot of opportunity to do a hands-on learning, understand the concept well, and be independent enough to be able to apply that concept when there is a new question which is being asked to them. And that is how the assessment also takes place. So they are complementary. So in terms of, I would say the pedagogical practices and the assessment practice, you will see that there is a difference from CBSE, but not in the level of difficulty as such. That is the first question. The second question is about the streams in IBDP. So as you saw the subject groups that I was showing you, so there are 6 subject groups, and you can offer minimum of 2 subjects from each group. So if you want to pursue, say, science, so you may like to take 2 sciences of your choice. So the whole idea of IBDP is that you should do at least all the subjects. So even if you don't want to do math, but at least do some sort of math. So there are 4 levels of maths that they offer. And if you're not interested, you can take that maths, which is the easiest level. But still, it is important that till grade 12, you should do all the subjects. In case you want to go for the commerce stream as such, so there are options for economics, business studies, and so on and so forth that you can offer. And same goes with humanities, which is a group 3 subject again. So you can offer geography or sociology or psychology or anthropology, whatever you wish to pursue. So there is no issue with the stream as such, but definitely they want the learners to do at least the basics of all the groups of the subjects. The third question is talking about it. How do we tackle different learning needs? If my child is slow, then what? So see, there are 2 aspects to it. First is that when we are talking about tackling the different needs, first thing happens in the classroom, that how do we differentiate while we are teaching? So this is embedded in our pedagogy. We do a deliberate differentiation in the classroom. When we get to know that, yes, there are certain gaps in learners' understanding of the subject, we do have an extension program, which is in-house within the school timing, and we pull out these learners, we sit with them one-to-one and start from the level where they should clarify their doubts. Other than that, when it comes to the board examination, or suppose there is some different kind of learning difficulty that the child has, there are accommodations which are provided through these boards as well, Cambridge as well as IB board. So even if the child is appearing for the board examination, there are accommodations which can be made there. So both ways the child is supported. The last question, which is a very common question, I would say, is that why are we not doing MYP instead of why we are offering Cambridge, and what's the logic behind it? So one thing I can tell you that, see, I am also coming from that background, including Ms. Geeta, and we have taught that kind of syllabus that when we move from Cambridge to IBDP. But the reason behind it is that, first of all, IGCSE offers you a standardized exam. In fact, international standardized exam at the end of year 10. And of course, certificate, that when you get a certificate, it holds a standard, right? Whereas MYP is majorly the internal assessments, which are happening continuously throughout the year. And with addition to that, there is some external online exam that the child appears. So I feel that the process of preparing for the examination, it also help the learner to know about themselves a lot. So it is very important that you should go at least under one standardized examination before you actually choose your subject in 11 and 12, because then you made a very informed choice. So if you know that, yes, you are liking a certain subject, and so you can decide, yes, I would like to offer a higher level of this particular subject. Or if there is certain subject which is required, but you're not that interested, so you may offer a standard level of that subject. So there are different kinds of accommodations, and MYP is the newest program of IB. And I think they are still figuring it out. It's a work in progress. It's a beautiful program, no doubt about it, but you need to have those kind of dedicated facilitators to actually cater to this exam. So I feel that currently this is a good choice that we are making, and that's a very conscious choice that we have made. And I think I have answered most of the questions that were related to Cambridge and IB, and I think over to Ms. Geeta to take some more questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Manisha. Parents, at Learners, we talk about our children, our students, our learners to be makers and not takers. So I have answered that, yeah, DU accepts and all of that. I'll still go through it. But the beauty of the diploma program is your child will become a maker and not just a taker. It is very student led, and through all the mysteries of, 6 subjects and all, there is a certain vertical and horizontal breadth and depth that this curriculum gives you. And we'll be very, very happy to share and take you through that. So one of the first questions was that, can my child do DU after IBDP? It's the most common question that I've been tackling over the last 15 years. Like I said, it was slow to be recognized in the northern region in 2002, 3 and 4. But some colleges did take on these graduates, but albeit conditionally, waiting for the final result to come out. And then they realized that the critical level thinking skills, self-awareness, communication is in depth in a diploma graduate. And now DU takes on all learners who are IBDP graduates. Then we also had somebody talk about, okay, great program, but what are you doing in terms of teacher training? The beauty of the diploma program and the international baccalaureate is they're stringent about their standards and practices and their criteria. So teachers have to go through rigorous training, which can be a workshop, but it is also very ongoing, whether it is delivered virtually or whether leaders take it over or we call somebody to come and train, but the teachers are well trained and it's constant and ongoing. They in fact keep changing and tweaking their curricula to meet the needs of the changing world every 7 years. So we can never sit on our laurels as educators. We have to constantly be learners, and that's the beauty that they bring also in the classroom. So yes, teacher training is rigorous, ongoing, and adaptive. Then we have another question which says, we don't want to go out of India, so why would DP make sense to us? Thank you for this question. This is a very relevant question. Like I said earlier, DP was considered to be a passport that, you do your 12th and then you go into a great fancy, US university or in Europe. But over the years, the parent body has seen the advantages that this kind of a program gives to the child. My own daughter has done a diploma and so has Miss Nithima's son. And my daughter has chosen to stay on in India. So from 99% learners and diploma graduates going abroad, right now we have more than 50 to 60% learners who take the program for the benefit that it offers in developing 21st century skills, and where students are leaders of their own learning and they have student agency. So it's a beautiful program. The idea I want to go abroad or stay in India becomes moot in 2023 because now parents are opting for this program because it's a beautiful program. And yes, like I said, if you look at the Association of Universities document, it's a very, very heavy tome. We can send you the link. Please go through it. All universities across India now accept the diploma program, including the Government of India, and now welcome. Then there is another question, which is a very interesting question, which is, will my child be able to take the civil services? Most certainly. And let me tell you that because of the kind of subjectivity and the kind of, learner agency that the diploma program gives you, it will be an add-on. Because when you are writing, especially your long essays in UPSC, that's where it's going to work. And because I have been a practitioner of English literature, I do want to tell you, just to give you a little anecdotal, anecdote. In English literature in the diploma program, you don't mug up 10 poems and read 10 stories. You actually do novel study. You go in depth and every essay is yours. CBSE wants perfectly mirrored answers. IBDP says that's plagiarism. You have to bring in your own unique subjective perspective to it. And it is writing these analytical essays, whether it be history or English, or like what Miss Manisha said, take up a level of math, will give that extra edge to your child to appear for the UPSC. So I hope that these were some of the questions that I was able to answer. And do remember, the beauty of the program is not purely academic in terms of acceptance, that's given. It is about the length and breadth and 21st century skills. Thank you so much, parents. And now I would like to hand over to Ms. Harshmita to close the session. Thank you so much. And it's over to Ms. Harshmita to give a closing end to the webinar. Thank you.
Wow, I think it was such an enlightening experience for all of us. A lot of questions were answered, a lot of technical yet in a very simple manner information was given to us. And as a listener, I had a wonderful time, and I'm sure other attendees did so. I truly hope that. Of course, I can still see that there are multiple other questions, and there would be some questions that during listening to the answers the parent might have. So on behalf of Learners International School and our beautiful, wonderful leadership team, I would invite all of you to our campus. Have a counseling session with us in case you want to take any questions offline. And we're all here to, take this knowledge back to the world community and help all of you get a deeper understanding about international board, education, and so on and so forth. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to close up this seminar. Have a wonderful weekend and have a great life ahead. Thank you so much for joining us today. Take care.